Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Reveal Real Estate's Masterclass. So we are going to talk about ways that we can invest safely and securely in Ghana's real estate market. So my name is Hannah Lomenyo. I'm the CEO and founder of Reveal Real Estate. And today I'll be moderating this session. I know we have people joining from all over the world, from the US, from the UK, from Ghana as well. So let me know where you're joining from in the chat, just to keep this interactive. Would love to know. Wherever you're joining from, we are thrilled to have you here as well. So for those that are new to Reveal, we are a real estate company. So basically, we help people in the diaspora and also the locals safely and securely invest in the real estate market in Ghana. And our main goal is to eliminate property scams by verifying lands and houses and providing real-time construction updates, managing projects end-to-end. So we basically handhold you through the process of, finding a property that you're interested in and you like, and then securing it in the future. So yeah, this is who we are. We are very happy to have you here for this session. So for today, we have a remarkable lineup of speakers, and each bringing a deep expertise in their field from different parts of Ghana's real estate industry. So we have the first person, who is Mr. Kingsley Amwini Yankson. He is a seasoned real estate investor and property manager with extensive experience in Ghana's high-end residential markets. Kingsley and his team have managed over 40 properties across Ghana's top neighborhoods like Airport Cantonment, Labani, and East Legon. And he's known for delivering white glove accommodation experiences for global clients, including leading entertainers. So that's Kingsley. Kingsley, good to have you here. So the next person is Mr. Nehemiah Oforikuma, who is the managing director of Crown Luso Limited, a leading real estate management and development firm in Accra. So Nehemiah oversees an expanding portfolio of managed residences and service apartments, including the ESB Heights in Laboni and the Shire townhouses in Chado. His work focuses on design, precision, and sustainable urban development in his property sector. So nice to have you. You're welcome. And then finally, we have Mr. Derek Osei Tutu, who is a lawyer and a land administration professional with over a decade of experience in property valuation, registration, and land tenure. So Derek holds an MSc in land management and land tenure from Germany, and is a member of both the Ghana Institution of Surveyors and the Ghana Bar Association. His expertise is invaluable when it comes to avoiding property fraud and navigating the land law in Ghana. So, gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you all with us in the call today. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Thank you, Hannah.
All right. Thank you too. So just to set the expectations for today's call, I will go over the rules. So we'll go over a series of discussion topics with our speakers. And during that, we expect everyone to be muted if you are not, if you don't have any question or you don't have the time to, or just keep your mic muted until questions time, because we have a question time at the end of the sessions. You can have all your questions. You can ask all your questions then. So keep your mic muted so that you don't interrupt anyone when speaking. Okay. So that's the main rule. So we'll have the panel discussion and then we'll have questions and we'll conclude the session. All right. So let's start with the panel discussion. So we have a couple of questions and we'll start with understanding the market trends and return on investment in real estate in Ghana. So my first question will be to you, Kingsley. Which areas in Ghana currently have the highest investment potential that you think people should consider?
That's a tricky question. I guess it depends based on what exactly the person wants to invest in, right? So if you're looking to, and what you're prioritizing, are you prioritizing rental yield, or you're prioritizing appreciation of property values, right? Because if your priority is getting back good rental yield, then I'll tell you to go to the cantonment, airports, Laboni, those particular areas, which tend to provide good rental use and long terms, because most of the corporate institutions and embassies and stuff of the sort, which are mostly the good clientele who tend to pay long-term contracts, would look to stay in those particular areas. Mostly because that's where a lot of the embassies are, and also proximity to a lot of the corporate institutions in Accra. If you're looking for capital appreciation, I wouldn't tell you to go to those same areas, because at that point in time in which you'd be entering into those markets, those properties would already have appreciated and basically be at the plateau point. If you're looking at appreciation, I'll tell you to go to areas beyond Accra, like Pram, like Chado, which is a new and upcoming area, which is still a little bit even getting very saturated. But I'll say if you capital appreciation, Pram should go on the outskirts of Pokwase. With the new Pokwase interchange, Pokwase is looking very interesting and very accessible as well. So I call these commuter towns. So areas where people can live outside of Accra and still commute into the city, or Yarefa, Pokwase, Community 25 and environments. Those are the areas where development is still now catching up to them, and there's opportunity for entry into those particular areas. So if capital appreciation is what you're looking for and you're looking to enter that market, those are good areas which I'll say you should go into. Not forgetting outside of Accra. So we're looking at Kumasi. I've seen it's a burgeoning, let's say, market that's happening in Kumasi as well as areas along the water, which is my favorite place. I love properties by the water. So properties anywhere along the Volta River, you should be able to get good appreciation for your money around those areas as well.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. But what are some of the indicators that show a good opportunity for, increase in rental value or property appreciation over the years?
So there's a rule of thumb that I use in Europe. I don't know if that I will say first over here as I'm based in both places. Cranes. So in Europe, whenever you're going to any particular area, the number of cranes you see in that area is an economic indicator of development, because each crane is almost $1 million or more, $1 million investment. So the more cranes that you see on the horizon, the more money that's coming into the country. When it comes to Ghana, I'll say is that what I tend to look at is to see as where you find people selling building materials. Are there a lot of little stores selling building materials in the area? Are there a lot of people moving into the area? Are there a lot of sales going on in that particular area? Are there plans to build infrastructure in terms of road? Is there government project going on in terms of road or corridors that are going to be planned to be built in the near future? Basically, you can tell that if there are some of these plans in progress or that are happening, then you can tell that in the next few years, these particular areas, so the accessibility will be made easier to get to these places. And once the place is accessible, property prices go up. In Ghana, whenever the road and gutter is down for a particular area, the prices change. So if you're able to get in before that, but also that means that you're going to have to deal with the problems of not having infrastructure built while you're going in. But that's the game you're playing if you're looking for capital appreciation. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And I know right now the Ghanaian real estate market seems like it's for people in the diaspora. So what advice do you have for locals in Ghana who are also interested in the real estate, investing in the real estate market in Ghana? How do you suggest they position themselves to be able to invest and also gain something from the real estate market?
I mean, it's something. It's not any. This is not any. Investing in real estate is not anything new in Ghana. It just depends on the hype and the type of properties that you are looking to invest in. Locals have, since time immemorial, have built properties that serve people in their local area. So you find that anybody who has a business that's doing well will build a chamber and hall to rent out to people as their retirement plan. Even my father did properties as well as a form of a retirement plan where they can rent out. So in terms of identifying the need in your area and being able to provide that sort of identifying the need in your area and being able to provide accommodation for that need is a way to start. I wouldn't say everybody should look at targeting the high-end markets or they're basically having properties in the cantonments, the airports. That's not necessarily the only real estate in Ghana. There's low-income housing, there is middle-income housing, there's student accommodation. There are different aspects of it that people can go into as a stepping stone to other aspects of real estate.
Okay, thank you. And I know, Nehemiah, you manage a real estate company. You manage real estate properties. Like, do you have anything to say about this for the Ghanaian market? Like, how should they position themselves to be able to invest in real estate in Ghana?
Yeah. So for me, I agree with Kingsley. We know the mainstream locations: airports, residential, cantonments, Labone, East Legon, and Chado. Chado is really in between. These are the areas to look out for if you're looking for high yield. But then if you're looking, again, capital appreciation, you're looking at North Legon or Yarifa, Pokwasi, the amount from areas. East Legon Hills, like further in East Legon Hills, these are areas to look out for. I would say stepping stone for me into real estate would be commercial property. I would do retail spaces in North Legon, in the areas with high density population, because I've seen that a lot of Ghanaians would invest a lot of money into businesses than where they lay their heads. So, that's an area to look out for.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And is the Ghanaian real estate market regulated, and how can investors identify credible ones? And that's to you, Nehemiah.
To be honest, the market isn't regulated as much as we would like. I know that there's a bill that has been passed or is yet to be passed. I know that there's a real estate agency bill that is going to regulate the activities of the real estate agents in Accra. We've seen a lot of unscrupulous people do a lot of bad things, which is affecting investors here. So currently, it is not in full force. I know that they are still consolidating and speaking to stakeholders so that they can get the right things done. But right now, the best way to deal with agents and agencies would be to check their, company registration, check their portfolio. These are things to look out for because then they are easily traceable. Yes. So for now, that is what we are dealing with.
Yeah, but if we are checking the portfolio, that eliminates the chance for new real estate companies to also, come penetrate the market and also, help people who can afford their properties as well. Because those real estate companies who are now penetrating the market, they don't have they don't even have any portfolio. So for such companies, how do we know they're actually going to put their money where their mouth is?
So real estate is saturated, but at the same time, it's very niche. So I have a huge portfolio of property, right? But then I know who I'm serving. Exactly. So I mean, I'm not blocking anyone else from doing business, even though I may have a higher chance at getting clients. But at the same time, to it's just how you do it's just how you do your work, how you brand yourself, how you position yourself.
Yeah.
Speaking
So
on the new entrance into the market, I'll say I was once a new entrant into the market where I didn't have any previous experience, but I tagged along with somebody who had experience, right on the coattails of those who have gone before, right? So being able to work with people who have been seasoned and who have run the business for over a number of years to help build your credibility as an individual and as a investor in the space or as an agent in the space, because you learn tricks of the trade, you learn the little things that an individual who's starting out on their own and has not worked with anybody who would know it in particular, right? Some of the strategies that I have used is from my mentor, who was Kofi Odro. And most of these things that I learned were mostly from him. So at the same time, what I always suggest is for people new entrants into the market to try and do some understudy or basically work for somebody or work with somebody who has been doing this for a while, not for just your own education, but also to bolster your credibility as well.
Okay, cool. That's cool. And also, I'm asking this question from the perspective of someone in the diaspora or someone who is in Ghana who wants to purchase a property. What are some of the due diligence that they should do on both the developer and the agents before going ahead to sign anything? This is to all of you. So whoever wants to go first.
Nanako, would you like to start?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm muted.
Yeah. So if you want to get into real estate, and then you will have to invest. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Then you want to know the estate developers that you are dealing with if you're a buyer. So you will have to run a check. Now we have the Ghana Real Estate Development Authority. They keep a profile of estate developers in Ghana. So you can reach out to them. You can check the track record of these developers to know what they've done on the market so far, and then you keep yourself abreast with what is happening. You just don't deal with anybody and any estate developer at all. It should be such that the person knows the market. There are proof of things that the person has done on the market, quality real estates that the person has transacted over the years, and all that. Those are the things that you need to look out for, especially when you are in the diaspora and want to deal with an estate development agency or authority in Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
And when it comes to agents, if you want to deal with an agent that is a bit difficult. Like the Maya said, the market is not too regulated. We have the estate agency bill that has been passed to law now. The council has been established, and now they are inviting people that are interested in estate brokerage to put in an application so that they can license them. In the event that this comes into full fruition, then you will be able to run a search by the estate agency council to find out those estate agents that are genuine that you can work through. So basically, that is what you can do as of now. So the market is still developing. We are hoping that with time we will get to the point where you can do this check with ease.
Okay. Do you have is the contact for the real estate development agents authority, and then the one for the agents public? Is it available so that users can just reach out to them and check these things?
I think the Ghana Real Estate Development Authority, they have a website, and then they have a list of members that are in good standing So you can always check from that point. And then for the agents, we've not really gone far. We are still, like I said, getting people that are interested to be registered as brokers. But then if in the absence of that, when dealing with an agent, you need to at least do a background check on them to know what they've been able to do on the market. At least talk to people that they've worked with, look at their profile, what they claim that they've done. You go a little bit into it to find out more about them, and that is what you need to do so that you don't get scammed.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Kingsley and Nehemiah, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. So you're talking about spotting red flags.
Yeah.
When dealing with agents and developers. So like Nana Kofi said, proof of work. If you're dealing with, if you're trying to pick a developer, you need to know, see what they've done in the past. I mean, you've seen all these big companies, and you've seen a lot of things that they're doing and what they've done. So we need to look at all these past projects. And apart from the past projects, you also need to look at occupancy rates, because these developers will sell you dreams. They'll tell you 25% ROI. And then, it's a different story, for those who have actually bought and are trying to rent out these units. So that's something you need to look out for. So when you go to these projects, you actually need to speak to the people that run the place, the real estate managers of the different units. There may be a facility management company that handles rental for the building, but most buildings have individual agencies like Embassy Gardens, the gallery, you name it. So these are the people you need to speak to, because driving occupancy is a really, really big thing. And if you're buying an apartment for a one-bedroom apartment for $200,000, you need to be able to price it properly and make sure that you're getting people in all the time. So you need to speak to the managers to give you a true story of what exactly is happening. Yeah, so that is what I have to say about the, spotting or choosing the right developer.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, nothing from us. I think they both covered it. So
Okay, cool. So now let's talk about money. We know the real estate market it can be very expensive, and sometimes you need financial support to be able to afford some of these properties in Ghana. So are there some financing options that exist for both locals and people in the diaspora to be able to afford property or invest in properties in Ghana?
Well, I've seen a litany of different options available. I know with some of the banks, not to give any bank free promo, but some of the banks provide what they call diaspora mortgages, which I believe are quite ridiculous, but that at least it's a move in the right direction, right? So they have diaspora mortgages which run for about 12%, which is it's insane to think about, but it's the beginning and it will get better. Rates will go lower and it will become a lot more accessible for people. But before the bank started doing that, we had Ghana Home Loans. Ghana Home Loans was there providing loans to people who wanted to buy property and basically pay over time. And I know someone who has actually done that, who's taken a loan from Ghana Home Loans and has actually bought a property. I think Ghana Home Loans has been taken over, has become a Republic Bank now, I believe. If I'm not wrong, I think it should be
Ghana
Republic.
Home Loans is First National Bank.
First National Bank, okay. First National Bank now. So some of these options are there, but also there are developers who provide payment plans, right? So some developers are flexible enough to allow you to pay over a period of time. Like I've seen some of them do what they call halal plans. So no interest on top of it. You're able to split the property, you pay up to 40% as a down payment, and then you split the rest over 36 months. I've seen that in certain areas, and I've seen the last sale that I brokered was basically a 2-bedroom apartment in one of the properties, opposite a property that Nehemiah manages in Blackstone. That purchase was split across different phases of the development. So it was bought off plan. So as the building was going on, for every phase, there was a payment that was due. So my clients did have the money in hand to pay, but I basically advise that we do it in such a way that we don't put all your money into one basket. At whatever point in time, you don't want to ever give the developer everything at a go, especially during the building phase, especially when you're buying off plan. You want to basically tie payments to development milestones. So, for example, what we did was whenever a particular floor is raised and they're doing the flooring for the next floor, then a payment is made. So as they're keeping on going, by the time they reach the 4th floor and they've done the internals, that everything has a payment plan. So you know that by the time you are making the last payment, you are getting your keys to move in. There's been issues in Ghana where I think one of these big companies were stealing from Peter to pay Paul. So I don't want to mention the name of the companies, but it was a big scandal where people were paying upfront, and basically people were getting buildings, people were getting their apartments, but other people who were paying, their money was being used to fund other projects, not even the ones that they were paying for. So this company had several different projects going on, and they were stealing from one project to fund another project, right? And it happens. It's business, thinking that you can be smarter than the system, right? As a business person, you always want to try and survive. So as much as possible, you want to make sure that your developers have some capital to be able to run the project through and see it to the end. And you don't want to see that they are depending on your money to finish. That's what I think is important. Nehemiah, Nanakafi, what do you think?
Yeah. What was it called? Yes. So, like Kingsley said, you really need to do a payment plan, not because you can't afford it, but then it's security for instances like this. I've experienced a lot of these things personally from about 20 years ago. So I know what exactly it's like. Yes, best places to get financing from would be Stanbic Bank, First National Bank, and Republic Bank. It's just an issue of the rates as well, because you know how the rates work in Ghana. So it makes it quite difficult to even access mortgages. But I know that these banks also offer diaspora mortgages. So that's just good information for those outside that are interested.
Okay.
So yeah.
I know you all talked about paying based on the milestones that have been reached. But what if you want to get a house that has already been built? Like, do you still need to use an installment plan or like pay upfront? Because I think for those type of houses, the developers or the agents expect you to pay upfront.
Yeah, so for properties like that, yeah, they would expect you to pay upfront, but also there's, I think in Ireland, in Europe, what we have escrow. I know somebody has started, a friend of mine, I spoke to someone, has started building an escrow platform in Ghana, where basically you pay the money into the escrow, the developer starts the documentation to hand over. Once everything is good, then the developer gets paid. That third-party intermediary is very, very important in the real estate space, and we've managed to function for a while without that. And I think the introduction of that escrow type platforms will change a lot of things in the Ghanaian real estate sector, right? That way you have the freedom of mind to know that your money is in escrow. The developer that doesn't have access to it until they've done exactly what they need to do, right? But also you need to be able to work with the developer. If you are buying an already complete building, you need to still have a reliable developer and someone who is reputable, because there might be problems that might come up after you have moved into the house, right? So you'd have paid, got your keys, moved in, then you realize that there's a leak somewhere or there's a problem somewhere. It's real estate, it's property. Nothing is ever perfect, especially in our side of the world. Even in Ireland, you still do snags. You could do what we call snag listing, right? So where you try and make sure you find defects in the property and you have a warranty period to try and get that done. So you need to be able to work with developers who are reputable enough and respect their own reputation to try and make sure that they fix everything for you before things get out of hand. I've seen situations where people have bought properties and the developers have turned a blind eye to them. Whatever issues that they've brought up, they never heard back from the developer till today. So wherever you are buying a property, you also need to make sure that the developer has after sales services, right, to ensure that you're good.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, one thing that I have also observed sorry, Nanako, if you have anything to say?
Yeah, I was also thinking about for locals means of financing this real estate. There is an interesting approach that is the rent to own. I don't know, but it doesn't appear that most developers favor that kind of approach. Maybe Kingsley and Nehemiah have an experience with that kind of approach or arrangement, but I personally think of it as an ideal way of helping people onto that property ownership ladder. So
yeah.
But just to piggyback off that, what I've seen is that rent to own, I haven't seen it happen much in Accra or in Ghana. But what I have done before is leasing, right? So lease somebody else's property and rent it off and basically be able to try and make money off of that by providing additional services for the people that you are renting out to. So for example, in the peak period, for a while, there were properties that we had leased for within, what's it called? What's this property called? In airport. So do a 1 year lease. There's some homeowners who just want a long-term, just want their money. They might be in a fix. They might be at a hard point. They just need some capital injection, right? So when you're able to find landlords like that who are in distress, and that's where your property agents come to play. Your relationships with your property agents come to play because they're able to tell you, okay, this homeowner is in distress. They might be happy to do a lease deal at a discounted rate, right? So once you're able to get discounted rates, pay off that, make an agreement with that landlord. Maybe you pay every 3 months. You have them upfront. You sign a 1 year deal. Every 3 months, they get their money. And then you go on to do rent to rent. Right. So what we did was that we took our properties that were distressed, we renovated them, and then we put them back on the market. So basically, the money that we're making from the rental yields was enough to be able to pay back the lease on a quarterly basis. So that is sort of a strategy that can work for as opposed to the rent to own strategy, which I've seen happen elsewhere in other parts of the world.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to have that scheme working here in Ghana. It will help a lot of people jump onto the ladder. So thanks for sharing that. So I was just trying to say that I've observed in the Ghanaian real estate market too, there's like a trail of abandoned projects in Accra, outside Accra, everywhere. And I think from my perspective, when someone wants to invest in real estate in Ghana, they start with a very ambitious idea. right? And that tends to end in abandoned projects. So what advice do you have for people getting into real estate, like, so that they can avoid getting into that situation, like leaving a trail of abandoned projects in their portfolio?
Well, my advice has always been that you start small. Though the real estate market is such that it's very capital intensive, and if you start by being ambitious, building here and there, you eventually get saddled in debt and all that. Because what we've come to know is that if you don't have the money, if you don't have the capital to go in there and uh, start building, and even if you have the capital, you are not even sure of the market. The property that you are putting on the market, are there people that are available or that have the money to buy them? So instead of going wholesale, you can start progressively. You start with some couple of units, and then you use it to test the market. And then if you realize that the market is good for it, then you try scaling it up. That is what I think real estate developers or people that may be interested in going into those areas need to be considerate, rather than just jumping in and pushing in because they've seen people do it and then they are making money. With the exception of some few big real estate developers, most of them start small because you are not so sure. You need to understand the market, and you understand how buyers also behave in this market.
Okay, thank you.
I would also just interject to say something. A lot of people tend to believe real estate as a wealth multiplier, which I don't believe it's the case, especially in Ghana. Real estate is a wealth preserver. And also, on top of that, it's a wealth preserver in the first place. It's the strategies around getting into real estate that is a wealth multiplier. And I'll explain what I mean. If you're buying a property to rent out, you're buying cash down. So, for example, you're going to sink $200,000 into buying a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment where you might get a 7 to 8% yield on a month-to-month basis. Nehema, you can keep me honest if my numbers are a bit wrong on that. On a high-end place, you might be able to get 15% yield on a good day, right? And that 15% of on an annual basis is a good investment, but also there are opportunities that you can leverage that can provide you a lot more yield. Whereas when I say yield, I mean your barrier to entry in terms of cash that's needed to be injected is smaller than actually purchasing the property. For example, if I am a real estate agent and I'm able to provide services to a few rental properties, right? I'm able to charge a percentage of 5% on the rental yield for that particular year. So me as a homeowner, I own the properties. I'm 200K deep into it, right? I'm renting out the property for 12 months. 1 month of that rental goes to my agent. The 11 months, it's mine. I have to pay my taxes on that. I have to still pay my maintenance of the property on it, all of those things. So if you're entering into the space, I'd rather be an agent than be an owner. So if you're starting out, that's one way you can start out. Once you're learning a lot around there, then you can move into investing. How can you invest? Now, for me, what I found worked for me was, as I said, landlords and homeowners that are in distress. And the only way I found out was working as an agent, and also speaking to people in the industry and making friends with other agents as well. Then the little capital you have, you're able to inject it and be able to do things that will help multiply your wealth. So for example, if you be able to rent a property for, let's say, $1,005 for a month, and you're able to do a short-term rental yield where you are charging $200 per night, right? In 10 nights, you've more than covered your cost base. In a peak period, peak season time where you can charge 200, 250 for the same service, you can possibly make X amount of money off the back of what you have done after paying off your base, right? So at the same time, as I said, it's not a multiplier of wealth, it's a preserver of wealth. So if you're rich and if you have the capital and you want capital appreciation, then you go into it. You inject it that way, right? But I just wanted to clear the air on that in Ghana, it's because of the capital required to purchase, it's not necessarily a multiplier.
Yeah.
It's a controversial this thing, but that's my opinion on it. Nehemiah, Kofi, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I would say another way to go about it is, hybrid financing. So if you want to start out as a developer, which a lot of these companies do, they inject about 25% of their own funds into starting out the project. So we are talking pre-development phase, marketing, billboards, and then foundation to about window level or first floor level. And then you can then partner. While you're doing all of that, you're looking for an investor to put in about 30%, into the project. So, you're not putting all your money into getting the project fully running. And then the third part is, pre-sales, getting the buyers to invest, just buy the units that you're selling. This works best for multi-unit apartment buildings than townhouses. They all work, but the math has to work it depends on what you're doing. And then the last part is, getting a loan facility. So if your loan facility is about 20% of the total cost of the project, it's easy to pay it off. You don't end up, by the time the project is done, you're not in debt. The interest rate is, it's easy to pay off the interest, the principal. You've sold out units, you've made some good profits. So that would be a very safe way to do this as a new developer. And that is what a lot of these developers do.
Yeah.
So you see that they are sold out even before the project is done.
Yeah, thank you all for sharing that. I like the fact that you covered the different real estate investors, from the local to the people in the diaspora and developers as well. So if you are a local, a Ghanaian local, then start small, don't be too ambitious, and make sure you do something that you can afford, and then expand as you go forward. And consider hybrid investments as well if you're a developer. Good points. I think one of the things that most Ghanaians are afraid of, and also people in the diaspora are afraid of nowadays, is losing their money, because money is a valuable asset and no one wants to lose their money. And people have fallen prey to various scams in Ghana. And there's also the issue of the land tenure system and different ownership schemes that people might not be so privy to, right? Nana Kofi, can you explain the different land tenure types that we have in Ghana and how that might affect your land ownership if you purchase a land in Ghana?
Okay, so when it comes to land tenure in Ghana, we have, I think Ghana is one of the countries with the varied tenure system. So as we speak, we have lands that are owned by the state, and then we have lands. So when I talk of lands that are owned by the state, those are lands that have been acquired by the government, and those that the government has vested in itself for. So for vested land, it means the government is only managing it for the owners. Then we have lands that are owned by schools and families, and skins and all those kind of things. Each one of them have their own unique characteristics and how you have to deal with them. So when it comes to state land, that is where you have the Lands Commission being in charge of managing the state lands. So that one is quite clear. You know what it is. If you identify a state land or you are interested in owning a state land, you apply to the Lands Commission, and if it is available, the Lands Commission will consider it and they will give it to you at a fee. And then so you pay a consideration for that. Normally, those considerations that you pay for state lands will not be the ones that you see on the market. It's not the same as the market value for properties that are or lands that are being sold by private individuals. So, for instance, you can have a state land transacting in, say, cantonment that is going for less if you are getting it from the Lands Commission than if you are getting it from a private individual. The reason being that the land is being leased to you so that periodically you pay rent to the state. So that is why the market value is a little bit or slightly lower than what private individuals may offer on the market. Then beyond that, you have the stew lands, and then the stew lands are lands that are held by stews. So the land is alienated by family heads and with the consent of principal elders of the family. So if you are dealing with them, that one also has its own attributes or unique characteristics. The document that you'll be issued when you go into this area will ought to be signed by the head of the family and then consented to by principal elders of those family. Because the belief is that it's for the family. So one person cannot just take priority over it and say that I'm selling it to you or I'm leasing it to you. It always has to be with the consent of the principal elders. And then you have family land. The family land is somewhat similar to that of the stew land. That one too, you need the family head being the principal person, and then other members of the family will also consent to that land being given to you. Then we also have lands that are held by private individuals. So those ones, it's just the individual with the person that wants to buy it. They sell it to that person and all. But whatever happens after acquiring this land from any of these entities, whatever it is, you have to secure your ownership of it. So in that sense, you get lands commission coming in some of them. So you see stew lands where if you want to register some stew lands, then you need the consent of Lands Commission. The family will give you consent, and then you have to come to Lands Commission for them to also give you the approval to register them. When you are registering family land too, sometimes you get that because they don't want a situation where the family, just one person in a family will go and sell the land to you, and then you will think that the family of two has sold it to you. So they will always require that the consent of the family is obtained before you can register it at the Lands Commission. So basically, those are the land tenure that we have. In other parts of Ghana too, you have, like in the north, you have skins also having land, and they also having their own unique way of managing them.
Yeah. I'm sure for all these types of tenureship, like there are various risks involved in all of them in the process of acquiring those properties. So how can you verify ownership of the land?
Well, your first point of call will be to do a search on these lands when you identify any land and you are interested in buying it. you have to do a search. You have to do a search to convince or satisfy yourself that the person or the family or the stew that is selling the land to you are indeed the ones that have the right to sell it to you. So what I advise people to do is that when you've identified the land, you've been shown the land, you have to get a site plan that you can use to do a search to know what is happening on the land, who owns the land, and what is in the records of the Lands Commission. Personally, there are instances where the person selling you the land will give you a site plan, but my advice has always been that if possible, you get your own surveyor to go and pick the land, the site, pick the points, prepare a site plan for you, and for you to run the search with that site plan. Because there have been instances where people were given site plans, and at the end of the day, the site plan that were given were not even matching with the land that they were shown. So, so ideally, you get your survey, you get your surveyor, you go there, you pick the site, you run the search, and then whatever results that come out, then you based on that you decide. Beyond that, you can also go to the sites and then do your own investigation. Talk to people that live around to find out what is going on that land, because there are times you go there and then you see that somebody has blocks or sand on the land. It should at least gives you an indication that there is something going on the land. They might convince you that, oh, I was the one that was building it, and that is why you see no, don't fall for that. You have to dig deeper, talk to people that live around to actually find out what is happening on the land physically beyond the search. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Kingsley, do you want to add anything?
I'll say, in addition to getting somebody to pick the points, I'll say she gets the people who can plot on the maps the points itself, so you can actually walk and see where the points start and where the points end. Very important. I just finished a transaction, it was 3 years ago, and went through everything, got my lawyers to go through the place, do everything. Everything was registered, everything fine. Now I go and I plot the points and I realize that it's like shifted to the left. So the surveyor who picked the points made the mistake. And basically whoever was shown when the lawyers and co went, the person who was showed them the right place, but the points for the surveyor who picked it for the site plan made a mistake. So now we have to go through the whole registration process all over again to register the actual portion. But now you're registered and paid for another piece of plot, which isn't what you actually wanted, right? So in as much as possible, you want to try and get the points, verify the points that have been picked, and get it plotted, and then you can walk the land with the points. That's very important. So you see exactly where the point starts and where it finishes, right? So these are some of the horror stories that you wouldn't want other people to relive, right? So it's just a cautionary tale for everybody. It's not all rosy on this side.
Yeah. I'll also like to add that this is what we do as we review real estate as well. So I know for people in the diaspora, it's very difficult to get someone to go and do these things, like verify the property, the land that you are getting. So you can just outsource that to us, and then we'll help you do the process of the verification. Check it at the land commissions and at the courts as well. So yeah, just chipping that in there. I have one last question for you, Nana Kofi. I'm curious about something that you mentioned. You mentioned that for the state lands that are over a period, let's say 99 years, I think that's what they go for most of the time. When the 99 years is over, what determines like the amount of money that you pay to the state as rent to be able to maintain ownership of the land?
Well, when your tenure or your interest is over, what it means is that you need to come to the drawing board with the negotiation table again with Lands Commission, so that you agree on the current market value that will go for that will pass on such a land. But whilst you, in order to avoid all those things, or in order not to wait until your interest run out, you can do a surrender and renewal. So if, say, you were given 99 years, now you have 10 years left on your interest. I will advise that you surrender the 10 years to be, so that in lieu of the 10 years, you'll be given an extended period of time of, say, maybe 50 years. In that way, it is cheaper, because what it means, or what happens there, is that the government is taking your 10-year period, putting monetary value on it, and then they will use that 10 years to offset the value that you would have paid for 50 years, for instance. So it is always advisable that you don't sit for your interest to run out before you go back to the government to negotiate with them. It's better you trade off what you have, so that beside the fact that it is secured, it also saves you money, because you don't get to pay a whole lump sum of money for the land again. It will amount to you buying the land anew. And it's not, buying land currently is not something that anybody will want to bargain for, because it is very expensive. So, for instance, let's say you are sitting on a plot of land at Laboni. You wouldn't want your interest to run out, so that before you go to the government for another negotiated fee, that will be off the roof, or on top of the roof, So it's always advisable that when your interest is running out, you consider trading it for an extended period of time rather than.
Okay. For the 99-year tenure, you mentioned it's cheaper when you renew it earlier. So the earlier you do it, the better, right?
Exactly.
But what about people who pass away and they forget to transfer the property, or give details about these things to the next of kin? How do they navigate this, or how do we navigate these issues, so that in the situation that something like that happens, the tenure doesn't run out and then we have to buy the land anew and all of those things?
Well, it's always important that if you hold a property, you make sure that somebody knows about it, or something of the sort, because you try to pay your rent. You have to try and pay your rent, so that the state will always have record of you having paid your rent and all that. So when it comes to the situation where you have to come and sit down and negotiate for an extended one, all those considerations will be factored in determine the amount that you pay, and even to determine whether the land should be given to you again at all. Because if you are a bad tenant, like I indicated earlier, it's only a lease that the government has given to you. So if you don't live well with your landlord, and then the opportunity comes for the landlord to evict you or sell to a better person, in quotes, then the government or the landlord will gladly do that. But the situation has always been that the certain tenant is always given the right of first refusal. So you will be considered first when the time comes for the government to re-enter and renegotiate for a new lease to be given.
Okay.
That is that is what happens in practice.
Okay. I have one very last question for you. So I know there are some situations where you go and view the land and then someone has encroached on your property, like someone has stolen a part of the land that you are about to be sold. So how do you deal with situations like that where there's encroachment?
If you go to your site and somebody has, so let me get a question clear. So you've already paid for the land and somebody encroaches, or you are being sold the land and you realize that some encroachers are on the land.
Yeah, like someone has stolen like a portion of the land. Let's say, I don't know, a bit of the land. I don't know the dimensions, but a bit of the land.
Well, if you find yourself in such a situation and then you are now negotiating to buy the land,
Yeah.
it is better you bring it to the attention of your grantor to tell them that, oh, this part is already encroached. So it's either I take the remaining part that has not been encroached, or you give me an alternative land where I can have all the land area that I want instead of going there, because then what will happen is that you'll be thrown into litigation and disputes with other people because you don't know, and the market is so funny. For all you know, you might think that they are encroachers, but your grantors might have given the land to them, and then it will throw you into a legal tussle that you may not want to find yourself in. So it's always better if you've not paid for it, then it's always better that you negotiate for a place where people have not encroached, or for them to carve out the encroached part out of it, and then you pay for the remaining part that has not been encroached.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, so this question is for all of you, the Americans and Nana Kofi. What would you say is something about real estate that you want everyone to know that you've not been able to share here? So one last food for thought for the audience. Who wants to go first?
Hey Maya, I think you should kick us off.
Well, there was one point I wanted to make. So Lands Commission, I think when Nana Kofi was talking about Lands Commission, Lands Commission is not, they are not supposed to handle, what's it called, land negotiations. You know, they are the institution that is supposed to protect the vested interests of all the lands we have in Accra and the different areas. So I just wanted to put that out there. We also need to let people know that real estate, you make more money, you know, in how you buy more than how you sell. Meaning that, you know, you need to always find the best locations, buy low. You know, that is how you make more money. So you make more money in how you buy and not how you sell.
Yeah, thank you.
Nana Kofi, how about you?
Well, I have always been of the view that real estate is a good investment portfolio to have, but then you need to understand the market, the dynamism of the market before you rush into it. It may look attractive from the outside, but then you just don't jump in. You need to understand the market. You need to understand how things work with developer, being a developer or being an agent. You need to understand all those things. Then you also will need to understand the ownership and the land tenure system as well as a developer. So you know the tenure types and what actually comes with every single one of them. You know where to find what and all of that, because if you really want to be successful as a developer or as an agent, you need to build a solid track record. You wouldn't want to be known as the estate developer who is always in courts battling over land that is developed, and then there are other people. When you go to court, it's quite embarrassing how some estate developers have found themselves on land that people are seriously litigating with them. You wouldn't want to be known as that. It affects your brand, and you wouldn't actually get the needed revenue or the needed outcome that you intend to get from real estate. That is what I will advise people to take note of if they really want to excel in this real estate investment or market.
Thank you.
I think I will cap it off with real estate is not just owning and renting property. There's so many different facets to it. And so many, when people think of entering the real estate sector, they think the barrier to entry is so high because they're thinking of, oh, how can I buy this property? How can I own this property to rent out? That's not the only aspect of real estate. Real estate is so huge that you can think of services associated to real estate to start off with. So not just agency services. So you can think about cleaning services. Are you able to provide a cleaning service to apartments who are running Airbnbs? Are you able to provide interior design services for people who are looking to set up their properties and their indoor spaces? Are you looking to provide furniture? Are you looking to provide custom? There's so many different aspects of it. You just have to find a space where you can thrive within the ecosystem, and that might be your way in.
Okay.
Pretty much what I want to say to end.
Yeah, thank you so much for those insights. So I think now it's time to take our questions from the audience. Let's go to the questions. Yep. So when we sent out this form, there were a couple of questions from the audience, and one question is, what's the best way to speed up land registration in Ghana without resorting to bribery? I think this is for you, Eric.
Well, what I would say is that you need to cut out middlemen as much as possible. Thankfully, the Lands Commission is currently going the transformation. So there are a whole lot of things that we've been able to do that is actually helping. If you want to speed up your registration, the key word here will be follow-ups. You need to do a lot of follow-ups because some of these applications get hung up in the system because nobody is following it up. Now we have a unit where you can, from time to time, check to find out where your application has gotten to. So if you don't want to pay, because usually you pay people to facilitate the process for you. So if you don't want to pay somebody, then you need to do the follow-up to find out what is happening with your application. Because in the course of the registration, there are a whole lot of things that can happen. They might even might require you to provide an information. When you know how the public service, they are supposed to call you to tell you that you need to provide information A or B, but there are a whole lot of applications. Nobody will get time to give priority to that single application. But when you come and then you inquire about the application, where it has gotten to and what is being done, it will you get the needed attention that you need. You'll be attended to, and then your process will go through without the hassle of having to give somebody money or something of the sort.
Thank you. The other question is, I think this was sent when the dollar was rising. So, but I'm sure like that might happen in the future or not. So I think it's a good question to answer overall. So it's the dollar is falling while the CD rises. How should this affect investors, especially CD versus dollar earners? Like, how should that affect the way you invest in Ghana?
So is the question asking from, okay, so I'll take it from one side, from people who are earning in cities,
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword, right? So if you're earning in cities and the cities appreciating, you're getting more bang for your buck, right? So that means that you can do more with your money. And then on the flip side, if the cities appreciating, you're earning in foreign currency, what you could do earlier on is not the same as what you can do now. So then now you're feeling like you're at a loss. So if you are sending money, if you are abroad or you're in the diaspora and you're investing in Ghana, and with these fluctuations, you need to be able to send, have tranches, right? So what has helped is one strategy I have used earlier is sort of hedging, right? So send an amount that when you have a favorable interest rate, use that to send a bulk of your money across. And then you discount the interest rates that you are using to do your calculations on your projections to basically facilitate or accommodate for any of these. So what I mean by that is if you're planning or projecting your finances for a particular investment project that you want to take place in Ghana and your current interest rate is at, say, 14 to the dollar, you discount it to accommodate for fluctuations. If you're in the diaspora, so you might use 11 or you might use 12, right? Just to give you breathing room to know that you can cover your costs for your investment. If you have more, that's good because there's nothing like too much money when you're doing a building project, because projects always go over budget, not because of anything, but that's just the lay of the land. So that's one strategy I've used, discounting the the exchange rate to make accommodations for fluctuations. And that also helps as well because then you are planning with less than you are actually you actually have in the bank.
Yeah.
So that's my piece on it.
Yeah. I think one other thing that would be good to do is if you have a relationship with some of the vendors that you are building with or you purchase materials to build with, sometimes you can buy some of the materials and then keep it when the prices are low so that you can save some money on that as well. I think that helps when the rates are high, low, whichever one it is. Yeah. So I think those are the main questions. I don't know if there's any other question from the audience. If not, yep. Right. So those are the main questions. So I just want to highlight some of the properties that we have from Reveal Real Estate. So we have Nehemiah on the call as a speaker. So he's a managing director for Crown Luso. He has a couple of properties that he manages, both for short-term rental and for purchases as well. So we will share them after the call, and then you can take a look. We also have some 2 beds and 3 beds in Roman Range, Cantonment, Airport Residential, and Castle as well. So if you are interested, you can check out our website or send us an email. We also have plots of lands in Dodowa, Oyibi, Afienya, and Abokobi, and Apollonia. So these are privately owned lands which are registered. We have all the documents for it. So just reach out to us for the details. And currently there's a promo running for the lands in Afienya and Dodowa. So they are going at 5% less. So this is a good time to purchase them. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, I would like to say Thank you so much to our speakers for joining today. It's been really insightful. I learned so much from the conversation, and I'm sure that the audience learned so much as well. So thank you so much, Nehemiah, Kingsley, and Derek. We appreciate your time. Yeah. If you have any feedback for us today, please scan the QR code and submit your feedback on what we can do better for the next sessions. We hope to do this often just to help you guys make better investment choices and help the real estate community in Ghana grow as well. So thank you. I will put the link in the chat as well, just to help other people. Yeah. Yeah, I'll put it there. But yeah, that's all. So we have a website. You can check out our website. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and TikTok as well, as Reveal Real Estate Ltd. So yeah, thank you. And you can request any of the services that we have on our website, and we will get on to it right away and sort out all your needs. So a recording of today's session will be sent to your email. So for anyone who wasn't able to join, we got you covered, right? So that will be it for today. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.